Hey, what is up, guys? I'm back tonight. I thought I would finish up my night before I go to bed with a little bit more sketching. And the theme is vintage race cars. So I got uh, a sketch here that I'm doing that I just did with a cool gray marker. And I don't plan on staying up too late tonight. So I'm just going to peek in, come in, do my thing, and then hopefully get some rest. Because I figured I ask people to practice all the time, uh, and I don't do it. I can argue the fact that hey, I've done all my practicing from way back, but I just love this stuff so much. I just figured that what the heck, when I'm relaxed and uh, this is my relaxation actually. So sometimes it ends up seeming like it's a chore for me, but it's not a chore. It's actually a lot of fun. So what I'm doing now is for those of you who are trying to get better at drawing, I would say that try to get better at observing at first. Before people can get into design and get into creating your own things, it's really important that you should learn how to observe objects and learn how to replicate those objects. So one of the things I do is I create these like drills for myself where I just take pictures. I may go to Flickr, it doesn't matter, and I just start to create like these graphical elements. I'm not trying to work on perspective. I'm just trying to look at, what's the general form and the shape that I'm looking at, and how much, if I start to uh, create a panel here, how big do I want that object, and what kind of shapes do I want to create with them? So I do that by just taking a picture and I'm just going to lightly sketch. And the reason I use this gray marker is because it doesn't matter if I make a mistake. I was just drawing something earlier, which was here. And as you can see, when I first drew this, I ended up drawing it too thin. So my window or my windshield ended up stopping here when I actually had to go a little further. So when you're drawing with a gray marker, you can actually come back in and tighten this entire drawing back up. And so by going gray, you eliminate a little bit of the intimidation factor of completely committing to your line work. You can always come back and finesse and change or whatever it is you want to do. It's just good. So I'm looking at this old Bugatti. Unfortunately, I don't even know what the year of this is. Let me see if there's any information here on the photograph. Okay, it's a Bugatti T35B. I'd have to look that up because I look at so many different references. I don't remember which ones are which. But so I've got my grill here. I'm just looking at my general shape, and I'm looking at the overall shape, kind of squinting my eye and trying to see how big this is. And then I've got essentially my first tire, which ends up, or my rear tire, which is right here. I'm just going to strike this line to it to just show what the shape is, because I don't have to get into the actual perspective of it. And then I've got another shape here. And then you got an axle. And then looking at this shape, I get the front tires going in this direction. Okay. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to try to get into a lot of details and stuff. It's just sort of hammering some of this thing out to understand what shapes am I dealing with here. Okay. What I do want to do is that as I'm drawing these shapes, I can say, okay, well, the next tire on the other side, it's going to be aligned with this, right? So I can kind of plot that out, and I know that it's going to go past the body right here, and I'm just going to drop another thick line, making sure that it matches up to this tire. So now I've got that tire. Then the next is the other rear tire, which is going to align with the other one that I got here, and I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, and that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's all I'm going to be doing. Is I'm just going to take the grill. I got a little bit of value here, and then once I'm done and I'm sort of happy with what I got, it'd be nice to have a driver here. I don't know if I have much space. I'm gonna let's see. Um, get the crown jewel here in the front, the emblem. Can add that to it. And then this goes off to this, and then there's a windshield here. Again, look at this. Look at what I'm doing. I'm only identifying like a shape to it. So really looking at simplifying what I'm seeing as sort of graphical elements. Okay, so that's a windshield. So unfortunately, I don't know if I can. I'm going to try to cheat it a little bit. So I've got the guy's helmet here, and I have to go a little bit higher, but that's all right. I'm just going to leave it as it is. So you got a vintage race car with a guy that has a modern helmet, which is smart. You don't want to have any of those vintage helmets because they're not as safe as what you get in today's time frame. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just scribbling all this stuff in, and adding a little bit of details here and there. That's it. So, as something that's just purely experimental, this gives you enough. It gives you enough description to come back in later and do something else with this, which is adding more detail. So that's all I'm doing is adding the shapes, nothing else. And don't want to be concerned with the details. And once you do this, what you end up learning is a little bit of patterning. I always do this. I host these little live sessions, and they're almost like really just free lessons to just teach you a methodology of how I think and do stuff. And then, of course, I sit there and talk about this, and I never alert anybody or give anybody a heads up. But hopefully, if you're out there, you're understanding, you can get something out of it. I used to really struggle with indicating detail. Now after doing it for so long, it's like, oof, I kind of get this. It's not as intimidating as I thought. So we'll have the road. All right, so I can't really go any further from here. This has to come down. Something looks a little odd. Okay. All right. So race car, nothing terribly fancy. Might have to make this tire a little bit higher. And then what I'm doing is I'm going to constantly go back and keep checking, making sure that I've got right proportions, things are looking somewhat correct. there you have it. What I've done is, we've got some nice graphical elements in here. If you guys were here yesterday, I went ahead and did this. So this is on YouTube channel from last night's drawing, where I just started to lay out my tires, ellipses, and then I kind of went back and just threw a box around it so you can see where the perspective is coming from. So again, this is freehand, and this is not done yet. So next video, maybe then when I post, I'll take this and then I'll end up modifying it or maybe tightening it up a little bit. So, and that's the same thing I'm going to do with this. I'm going to leave this for now. I'm going to let this go. And then I will try to post another video later. But that just kind of gives you a short window into my process of how I think, even when I'm experimenting with gray markers. So that's basically what this is about, was gray markers. So I'll title the video and then get a new thumbnail, and then we'll see you next either this weekend or maybe the following week. If you have any questions or requests, you can go ahead and check out my Instagram channel or Instagram page, which is just Driven to Draw. So if you just look up Instagram, I think it's /Driven to Draw. That should take you there. And if you haven't gone to the blog, make sure you go to driventodraw.com. It's got an awesome guide for you to download with tons of tips. So hopefully it'll be helpful. I'll see you next time, guys. I'm going to head on up to bed because I'm so tired and it's like 11:20 now. So we'll see you later. Take care. Bye for now.